What's that? You want a Halloween servant so scary that they'll have you jumping out of your pants? Well, this one won't scare you, but you can definitely accomplish that second part. Hello everyone, Sobroni of G&A Reviews here, with a spotlight for the Halloween servant who reminds me more of a peach than a pumpkin, if you know what I mean, Zenobia. We'll be examining her stats and skills, as well as going over pointers to how to utilize her effectively, and an overall grade comparing her to how she stacks up to the other 4-star servants. So if you're as down bad as literally everyone at Lasangle, then make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring my bell so you can catch all of these spotlight videos as they go up and you can help out the channel. And now, onto Zenobia's stats. Zenobia has a max HP of 11,695 and a max attack of 9,831, which becomes 9,339 due to her archer class modifier. Both her HP and attack stats are above average for a 4-star archer, and compared to the other 4-star servants overall, she has about average or slightly below average HP, but really strong attack. When it comes to her command cards, Zenobia has 3 hits on her quick card, 4 hits on her arts, 4 hits on her buster, and 5 hits on her extra card. She has an NP gain rate of 0.47% and a star rate of 8.1%. Both her NP gain and start generating are quite good as well, mostly due to her high hit counts and double arts and quick deck. Zenobia has a very nice stat spread for an offensive archer with excellent attack, strong utility, and good enough HP to take a few hits. Taking a look at her skills, Zenobia's first skill is Cognomina Auguste, rank B. It increases her arch card effectiveness for 3 turns between 20 and 30%, grants her between 10 and 20% NP charge every turn for 3 turns, and generates between 5 to 10 crit stars every turn. All of these effects depending on level. Her second skill is Aurelian Siege Resist, rank A. This grants her guts 1 time, lasting for 3 turns, and reviving her with between 1,000 and 3,000 HP. It also increases her crit star absorption rate for 3 turns between 300 and 500%, and it grants her between 10 and 20 crit stars, all of these effects depending on level. And finally, her last skill is Prospering Palmyra, rank A. This skill increases the party's attack for 3 turns between 10 and 20%, and it also increases the party's crit chance resistance for 3 turns between 20 and 30%, both effects depending on level. As for her passives, Zenobia has magic resistance rank D, which increases her debuff resistance by 12.5%, independent action rank B, which increases her crit strength by 8%, and riding rank B, which increases her quick card effectiveness by 8%. Moving on to her deck and Noble Phantasm, Zenobia has an Arts Quick deck with Quick, Arts Buster, and an Arts Noble Phantasm. Her Noble Phantasm is Authentic Triumph. It's an AoE arts attack that hits all enemies, with a damage modifier between 450 and 750% depending on NP level. It also increases her own attack by 10% for 1 turn, deals 150% additional damage to king enemies, and it increases her own crit damage for 3 turns between 50 and 100% depending on overcharge. Unfortunately, Zenobia is one of those servants who needs a lot of annoying bronze mats that are a real pain to farm. For level ascension, she's going to need 18 Heroes Proof, 24 Chains, 8 Bloodstone Tears, and 4 Scarabs. And for skill leveling, she's going to need 36 Chains, 36 Heroes Proof, 20 Arrowheads, and 20 Tiaras per skill. Between Summer Okita Alter, Summer Kama, Jacques, and now Zenobia, it really seems like every character designer at Lasangle came down with a severe case of the horny all at once. This is a lineup that would make even Fergus blush, and Zenobia may have the best assets of them all. Strictly speaking about her gameplay, of course. She has strong stats across the board, really good attack, strong NP gain, decent star generating, and even good HP. She even has some good passives in riding and independent action. So stat-wise, Zenobia has no real weaknesses. But what about her skills? Well, her first skill, Cognomina Auguste, is an arts buff that also grants 20% NP recovery and star generating every turn for 3 turns. And this skill is pretty much built to enable consistent looping. Not only does the 30% arts buff give her substantial NP refund after each wave, but the 20% charge ensures that she can loop off of even low refund enemies like Berserkers. It's built-in looping insurance, much like Rider Da Vinci has, and that helps make Zenobia incredibly consistent. The star generating isn't quite as amazing, but it is still nice as an extra buff to have, since as an archer, Zenobia makes excellent use of the stars that she generates to crit more often in non-farming teams. And speaking of non-farming comps, Zenobia leans even harder into that crit roll with her second second skill, Aurelian Siege. This is a Guts that also acts as a Star Bomb and a Star Absorb. The best thing about this skill is that it's self-enabling. The additional Star Bomb on top of the passive star generating from her first skill means that Zenobia can basically make 30 free crit stars whenever she wants. And then she can absorb them all very easily, which enables her to create crit brave chains almost at will. Guts is also a decent defensive tool to have in most difficult content. Finally, Prospering Palmyra is just a charisma that also increases the party's crit chance resistance by 30%. 30% is not an insignificant amount, and against berserker enemies that crit a lot like those chimeras, this can come in handy, but ultimately it's very situational. What isn't situational though is an attack buff. Those always come in handy. Charisma, as always, is a good DPS booster for the team, plus it helps push Zenobia's self-buffing capability over 50% when combined with her arts buff from her first skill, so she does have a good set of damage steroids in her kit. For skill leveling, go with her arts buff first since it's by far her best skill, and it gives her additional NP charge with level, followed by charisma for more damage, and then guts last. For a skills, make sure you pick up mana loading for easier farming, and then grab anti-berserker attack up, because who doesn't want to deal more damage against berserkers when they can? Despite having a backside that is a certified WMD, Zenobia actually uses a different Noble Phantasm. Authentic Triumph is an AoE arts attack that increases Zenobia's attack by a small amount, and then deals damage to all enemies, dealing additional damage to king enemies, a la Scheherazade. It also buffs Zenobia's crit damage by up to 100% for 3 turns. The attack buff is abysmal, but it's offset by what is a pretty good crit buff, and the additional damage to king enemies is massive. Unfortunately, king enemies aren't exactly common, and this doesn't factor in at all for Zenobia's main role, which is farming. And this is one area where Zenobia runs into a massive issue: NP damage. While her NP itself is good when it comes to buffing her and producing a lot of refund to loop with, the damage output is minuscule against non-king enemies. And that's mostly because Zenobia lacks an NP interlude like other AoE archers and arts loopers have, so despite her consistency, unless you have her at a high NP level, she will struggle to outdamage the likes of arts loopers like Emiya or Io, who we get further down the line. At higher NP levels though, Zenobia can be a very strong and consistent NP looper, and as a permanent servant, you may find yourself with multiple copies of her at one point or another from spooks alone. Zenobia isn't just a farmer though, she can also work as a crit DPS. She has multiple ways of producing a mass amount of crit stars to utilize, and her Star Absorb combined with her naturally high star weight make her a really consistent crit attacker. She can even hit some ridiculously high crit numbers provided that you're able to stack her NP effect on top of itself, which is easy to do given how spammable and loopable her NP is. The downside to Zenobia's role as a crit DPS though is twofold. For one, her cooldowns are a bit on the longer side, especially her arts buff, so it's hard to keep her consistently going in longer fights, but the bigger issue is that her only source of crit damage buffing is tied to her Noble Phantasm. I know that she's an archer, but this is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, if she gets lucky with card RNG and she can stack multiple crit buffs from looping, then she can easily maintain 100% additional crit damage or more for nearly the entire battle. But if she isn't lucky and isn't able to snowball like that, then she'll have no source of buffing her crits, and she'll continuously output lower damage than comparably strong crit servants like Emiya. Suffice it to say, bringing the right servants can make Zenobia much more consistent and effective as both a farmer and crit DPS. Servants who can provide direct NP charge and arts buffing like Ruler Da Vinci and of course Castoria, or that can provide strong crit damage buffs like Lanling and Hans are excellent choices. Castoria is self-explanatory and enables the most consistent farming teams with Zenobia, but Ruler Vinci is also a good free-to-play option for not only buffing Zenobia's damage, but her NP charge as well. Lanling and Hans both offer very strong and reliable crit buffs, which help offset Zenobia's reliance on her Noble Phantasm spam, and they also offer additional buffs as well. Zenobia's Bond CE is Golden Shackles. It increases her NP damage by 30%, and it grants her an On Guts effect that restores 30% of her NP gauge. This is a unique and very thematic Bond CE, which is awesome, but unfortunately not very practical. Instead, you should just give Zenobia CEs that maximize her NP damage for farming, like Black Grail and Ocean Flyer, or crit buffing CEs like Another Ending or Gem Magecraft. In the future, I also recommend Last Flowers in Bloom. It's a unique CE that increases crit damage, star absorb on arts cards, and arts card damage. All things that Zenobia likes. As for command codes, any crit buffing code is good, especially ones that you can use on your arts cards like Brush of a Mad Painter. Overall, Zenobia is an excellent addition to the arts looping lineup. She has a very good looping consistency due to her 20% NP recharge and good NP refund. She's also permanent, so it's a little bit easier to get her to higher NP levels if you really need an arts looper to invest in. And she doubles as an effective crit DPS as well. On the downside, she does have issues with her damage output due to her lack of an NP interlude. Her crit damage can be a little inconsistent, and she doesn't hold up quite as well to the top tier arts loopers. So all in all, Zenobia gets a B+ from me. I think she's good and she performs both her role as a farmer and crit DPS really well. Her only flaw is that she's a little bit outshined in a highly competitive niche. If she can get an NP interlude, I think that would do wonders for making her a more elite arts farmer. And those are my thoughts on Zenobia. If we're talking purely gameplay, I would suggest that you hold on to your quartz. We are getting a free god tier arts looper next year anyway, and odds are that you already have Emiya. But for those of you rolling for that booty, good luck. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing if you really enjoyed the video. Join the party over on our Discord, chill with us on Twitch, and follow us on Twitter, and I'll see you all in the next Servant Spotlight. So Brony out. Later.